plaintiff, Christopher Yandel, makes his living as a stylist, and he took the defendant under his wing and mentored him about his profession, despite the fact that the defendant was concerned about people questioning his sexuality. Christopher rented a room in his apartment to the defendant, but he's suing him today for rent and utilities. Defendant Clayton Cooper admits that Christopher assisted him in becoming a stylist, but he takes full credit for his own success. Clayton denies owing Christopher for anything, and he's countersuing because he claims Christopher harassed him at his job.
Start with you.
A little background, what I do, I'm a stylist for a living, so it's my job to take my clients and transform them, help them discover, develop, and express their own individual unique sense of style. So this is when I met Clay while doing this. I met him in 2009. This had been right before Christmas. He was a new holiday hire at the store where I work and showed some promise instantly, and we hit it off right away. And he showed some interest in what I do and wanted to know more about it. So I started kind of mentoring him and teaching him about the business and about styling and clienteling and everything about what I did. His only reservation about the job was that there's a stereotype when it comes to stylists that all male stylists are gay. Obviously, I am. But it's not always true, though. And so started to mentor him, train him, introduced him around. I actually recommended him for some jobs outside of my company because we didn't have one available for him within my company. Helped him get a job. Also then took him under my wing and brought him into my circle of friends. He didn't really know a lot of people in Boston at the time, so I brought him around and talked him up, and he became friends with my group of friends as well. That was all wonderful. The one question they always ask me to this day, though, friends, anybody who meets him and then knows me says, he's gay, right? And I always say, no, he's a metrosexual. That just means he has style, but he's straight. We want more like them. So basically, he is a good guy. He was a good friend. He's a good roommate. However, in this situation, he acted irresponsibly.
When did you all become roommates?
Spring of 2011.
Was he a good roommate?
He was a good roommate. We enjoyed each other's company, enjoyed each other's friends. All that was great. He was neat, which is important to me too. So it was awesome. It was a good situation. It wasn't until the end.
Let me hear from you, sir. Give me some background.
Sure. I met him, like he mentioned, we were working for the same company. So really, at that point, I mean, there is a little bit of truth to the fact that he assisted me in the sense that, he did, we arranged a living situation. On the same hand that he was one of many references on my reference sheets. I like to own my success, and I like to think that I am a proponent of my own success. So there is an element.
What's that mean?
I don't know what
proponent means he promotes himself and projects success.
The one question they always ask me to this day, though, friends, anybody who meets him and then knows me says, he's gay, right? And I always say, no, he's a metrosexual. That just means he has style, but he's straight. We want more like them. So.
Defendant Clayton Cooper rented a room in the plaintiff's apartment, and he claims after he moved out, the plaintiff harassed him at his job.
Sounds like you're saying he didn't help your success?
There was some assistance, yes, but I own it myself. I mean, I like to think I have more style in my little finger than this guy does in his whole body. So I mean, yeah, we met, we lived together. It was an extremely well-balanced living situation. There was never any arguments or anything
First I've heard
like
of that, quite frankly, really. That's the first I've heard of roommates not having any problem with each other than the money thing we're about to talk about, the rent. All right, good. And you weren't a homophobe like many other men are, so that's good. Yeah. I applaud you for that, too. Some straight buddies come over there. Is he gay? What you doing living with a gay guy? You must be gay. And you don't have to be gay to hang out. I used to hang out with my brother and his buddies. They were all gay. And is that what they were saying about me, though? Were they asking whether I was gay? Well, they said, Steve, is your little brother gay? Because he hanging out with us.
You do wear that robe well.
I just go to the mall with y'all because you got good taste.
Yeah, right.
I go to the mall, they say, hey, Greg, that's good stuff there. Oh, yeah? I'm 10 or 12, you know. So. All right. Now, tell me about the rent and utilities you're suing him about. First, tell me the agreement and how he breached the agreement.
Absolutely. The agreement was that we would split utilities halfway down the center for every month that we both lived there. And we signed a sublet agreement, and that was all fine for the most part. It was only the last few months.
The rent, once again, was how much? His share?
His share was $600. Total was $1,600.
Why'd you give him a break instead of paying half?
Well, I wanted to live with him. He was a good roommate, and he couldn't afford the full half at the time. So I thought, well, I'll give him a break because I don't need a roommate. But if I want to have a roommate, I'll give him what I can afford to pay more. So it's fine.
Good. And you never hit on him, right?
No.
Now, the reason, no. I'm making this clear because that's what these homophobes believe. All these guys, you know, and I always check my buddies when they go there.
Yeah.
I'm like, you some kind of homophobe? What, you scared you're not going to be able to control yourself? You know, I go at him. I say, what you scared of being around gay guys for? You think your mind is going to wander? Oh, I'm not gay, but my God. I'm really thinking about it. If you're not gay, you're not gay. What do you care about? And so that's my point. I want all these guys to hear that just because your friend or your roommate is gay, that doesn't mean they're going to be hitting on you. They just what they are and you what you are. Go ahead. So $600 a month, and he was a good roommate, as we've said. What did happen? How does he owe you?
So towards the end of it, he owed a couple months outstanding utilities, and of course, towards the end of the lease agreement, he said, "Okay, you know, I'll get on this immediately." But then, as more bills came in, and I was able to give him the final total, he just became unreachable. I couldn't reach him by text anymore.
He still lived with you, didn't he?
No, we were not roommates at this point. This is after we moved out. This is like a month and a half after we moved out when all the bills finally came in.
Were the utilities $28.62?
No, this was
yeah, because you're asking for rent also. Tell me about the rent.
So I'd given him that deal on rent, $200 off his rent every month. So in effect, I'd given him $2,400 worth of free rent. That was contingent upon him paying all the bills on time while they were due, as agreed upon. And I was giving him that deal as a friend, as a gesture.
And if he breached his utility commitment, he'd have to go back.
Correct.
To that $800.
Correct.
How far back? Just for that month?
Lease.
The whole lease.
Yep.
You agreed to that? That was a bad deal, man. You agreed to that?
In my defense, I haven't actually seen it since 2 years ago. It's the agreement itself.
Oh, you wrote it? It was written?
I'm not.
I have
Let's see it.
Yep.
What do you mean you haven't seen it? You don't have to see it. You remember what you did? Well, you should. Claim providing that provided agreement, that's fine. Yeah, you agreed, sir. And utilities are way less than rent.
Exactly. That was basically a motivator for him to pay.
Okay, go ahead. That was the motivation.
That was the motivator for him to keep to the contract. I had the same contract with my previous roommate as well.
And he went for that game too.
He did. Because I also given him a deal on rent. So in exchange, I said, all I want is that your good faith agreement that you'll pay this on time, that I won't have to come hound you for it, and I won't have to ever ask you for it. You'll pay it, and if you don't, this is my legal means to ensure that you will pay it eventually.
Retroactive all the way to the beginning.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's a bad deal. You're a hard man to negotiate. You negotiate a hard deal, Doc. That's because he was late how many times on utilities?
So March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months.
How much did he owe total in utilities for those 6 months?
Total of $462.
So because he failed to pay $462, he had to pay $2,400. That's a hell of a late fee. Oh my God. If he breached his utility commitment, he'd have to go back
Correct.
To that $800.
Correct.
How far back? Just for that month?
Lease.
The whole lease.
Yep.
You agreed to that? That was a bad deal, man.
Defendant Clayton Cooper rented a room in the plaintiff's apartment, and he claims after he moved out, the plaintiff harassed him at his job.
First, were you late on your utilities? And if so, what do you have to say? Because you signed this. Go ahead.
Well, as far as I was concerned when I left, everything was square. The 6 months, that's news both to you and I at the same time, that I was late that many times. I don't believe, and I know for a fact that I paid on time for those 6 months.
Were you ever late?
Yes, there was times when, paychecks were, fumbling around, and it might have been a little bit strapped for cash at the end of the month. There was times when I was late, but the payment was made. The agreement itself, to me, seems as though it's a bad faith. If we are such great friends, then why should my decreased rent amount have to rely on the utilities? It's almost as I will only extend this courtesy to you as a friend
if you pay on time.
With the utilities. So to me, it's a little bit backwards.
No, it's frontwards. He says, to make sure that you pay your utilities on time, I'm going to put a clause in here that incentivizes you not to be late. And turns out he did the right thing because you were late. And do you have the months? Because he says when he moved out, he had paid every utility bill that had been due. You were totally caught up?
Correct.
How did you all pay the bill? Would he give the money to you? Let me see it, please. Yes. Would he give the money to you, the utility? How do I know whether he paid it or not?
Well, basically, in the agreement, it stated that I would make the utility bills available, which I did. I posted them. I had them on the fridge. I wrote them on the calendar, broke them down. And it says in there, too, if he ever wants a copy, all he has to do is ask. If he chooses to pay me rather than pay the utility directly, he could ask for a receipt, and I'd gladly give it to him. And I have a bank record of every transfer he's made me and every transfer I made to the utilities.
Well, you make a good lawyer. I don't know about the stylist thing, but you make a good lawyer. Let me see what you have. And, sir, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Let's get to the defamation. You're countersuing him for $5,000 for defamation, sir.
The defamation suit stemmed from it's a counter to this claim. Basically what happened was after I had moved out and, the calls started coming, bill collecting, calling me every day, texting me. It got to the point where, he would stop into my place of business and, harass me for... Yes.
In front of who?
My employees, colleagues, superiors.
And say what?
Not verbatim, but where's you owe me money. Where's the money?
Sir, did you go to his job?
I went to his job and saw him one time, and which is when he paid me the money for the movie.
Did he tell you to come there?
I went to his job after he didn't respond to text messages or phone calls for 2 weeks.
Yeah, sir, but you can't go to anybody's job. Even the collection agency don't show up at your door. And they're worse than anybody.
At this point, we were still, as far as I knew, we were still on good terms, and he had had some issues with his phone being shut off many different times, so I didn't know if I could reach him or not. And we work in the same mall, or right next to each other, so it was on my way home.
Did it hurt your reputation? Did you get fired?
I had left that place of employment for another opportunity. I want to say probably a month after I had ceased my employment there, I'm getting phone calls and text messages from my colleagues saying, your roommate's been in here looking for you.
That was your second job?
No, he was still showing up at my previous place of employment, even though I had not worked there.
But you left there.
Yes.
So it didn't cause you any damage there. You went to another place on your own.
No, this is where the defamation comes in because of the words and the things that were discussed.
But it has to damage you. That's what I'm saying. You always have to prove damages. In other words, he hurt your reputation there and they fired you. He did so and so and your salary was reduced. He did so and you were disciplined and it's on your record now. And so when you come up for a promotion, it's going to hurt your promotion prospects. He did no such thing. You left on your own to the next job. Judgment for the plaintiff, and your claim is dismissed. Have a good day.
All I cared about was getting it taken care of, getting resolved. I'm fine moving forward and being friends again. I always enjoyed his company. I want nothing more but for fair to be fair and this to be paid. Clay, thank you.